Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day to all. My name is Suhardi bin Maulan. I am the President of the Institute of Landscape Architect Malaysia. Welcome to Pulau Pinang and welcome to the Ifla World Council meeting, streamed live from Georgetown, Pulau Pinang. I hope that all of you will have a good meeting and good discussion for the betterment of the landscape architecture all over the world. I would also like to see all of you to join us in the Ifla World Congress that will be held from 18 to 22nd August 2021. I hope all of you will enjoy your live streaming from Georgetown Pulau Pinang for the meeting as well as the Congress. Hope to see you again in the future. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. As the chairman of ILAM Ifla 2020 Advisory Committee, I would like to welcome all of you to this first ever virtual Ifla World Congress. And I'm proud that Malaysia is given the opportunity to organize this event. When I was the Ifla APR president, I initiated the bidding of this event on behalf of ILAM, thinking that 2020 would be a special year for Malaysia to celebrate our Vision 2020. But last year, as we all know, the whole world was struck by the pandemic, and Malaysia is no exception. Despite the pandemic and the economic downturn, ILAM and all partners are still in the high spirit and energy to make it happen. I want to thank President James Hayter, the ESCO, and all delegates for supporting Malaysia. It would have been more meaningful had we organized it physically, but I believe things happen for a reason. Lastly, I hope you will enjoy and benefit greatly from this Congress. Always remember, our major role is to protect nature and Mother Earth and make this world a better place to live. Together we shall uplift our profession, standing in the eyes of the world. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ishmael and Dr. Suhardi, for your very wise words. We're really pleased to be with you, even if it's not in person. So I'd like to welcome delegates and observers back to day 2 of the Ifla World Council meeting, and also our friends who have also logged into to be part of this this meeting. If I just share my screen now. So we chose the theme of Ifla sharing globally for this year's World Council meeting. And I think the presentations yesterday demonstrated really well how the exchange of people and this exchange of ideas globally is just so important for our profession. We talked yesterday about Indigenous people as being one of the key themes that the World Council and the Executive set as being looked at this World Council meeting. And we talked about this statement. So the statement, the world's Indigenous people and their continuing knowledge and relationships with landscape is critical to the global issues landscape architects are concerned with. So those global issues are climate action, food security, local participation in design, and health and well-being. And we described that how local knowledge requires taking collaborative and collective responsibility for the curation and the nurturing of the landscape towards a sustainable future. And I hope you'll take this statement back with you after this World Council meeting and think about it carefully and deeply, because it is really what this World Council meeting has been about, and the contribution that so many people have made and will make today towards it are relating very much to this overarching theme. We talked yesterday also about the importance of not only having these great ideas and wanting to put them in action, but how do we put them in action? And we talked about the importance of having an organisational structure and just the clear rules under which we work. So we talked about Plan Ifla, which has been updated for this council meeting, and the photo really says that these community, this one's in a community in India, how people working together are the strength of our communities. We value your input, so please use the chat room, raise your hand in the meeting or email us with your feedback and your ideas. So Plan Ifla, our business plan, is supposed to be a living document. So it directs our actions and it reflects your expectations, but you've got to tell us what your expectations are. It's also the opportunity for you to become involved in Ifla and have an effect on the landscape architecture profession globally. So you'll find Plan Ifla in your World Council meeting papers, or you'll see it on the front page of the Ifla website down the bottom. So www.iflaworld.org. So become involved with Plan Ifla. It's your document, but it's also the way that we can communicate with you and for us to understand how we can help you and you can help us. Just to go through the protocols for today. So I think everyone was really good with this yesterday, but rename your Zoom profile to name an organisation. All participants mute themselves, please. The delegates of Ifla member associations are the ones that formally participate in the meeting. The observers and others attending don't formally participate unless asked to by the meeting chair or the presenters. Please use the chat function. We collected a lot of fantastic feedback via the chat function yesterday. We'll record that. And even if we couldn't answer all your questions, they are recorded and we can answer them afterwards. And please turn on your video display so we can see you. And I think everyone did that. Looking at the agenda for day 2. So firstly, it's in 3 parts. So firstly, we'll look at the Ifla regional presidents' reports and hear of the work that's been done, if you like, from bottoms up within the regions. The second part is about what landscape means to me. And the third part is about some of the challenges which are facing the landscape architecture profession globally. We'll also allow at the end of that for any other business, which is from you delegates. And then we'll have an introduction to the 57th Ifla World Congress by the Institute of Landscape Architects in Malaysia. And then finally, we'll have a closing with concluding remarks of the 2021 Ifla World Council. And then after that, there's an after party. The after party last year was quite fun. People stayed around and stay around after this one as well. What I'd like to do now is to introduce the first of our videos on what landscape means to me. And this is a video from Colombia.
Colombia is located on the extreme north of South America and counts with 6 wide ecological zones: Amazonia, Orinoquia, Andes, Pacific Coast, Atlantic Coast, and insular lands. Around 95 indigenous ethnic groups still alive in this wide territory, and they spoke 65 languages. None of those have a word equivalent to landscape, but all the ethnic groups are very respectful of land and Mother Earth, as they call it.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Ana Maria Monsalve. I am from Colombia and live in the city of Medellin. I am forestry engineer and landscape manager. I work in rural lands, especially with two indigenous communities in Colombia, the Cona community, sons of Huito, that live in San Martín de Macayaco, in Ticoya Resguardo, and with Toto community, the sons of Tabaco, Coca, and Sweet Yuca, that live in area located in Los Kilómetros, Rito, Resguardo. The Amazonas landscape is a biocultural land. The cultural values generate behaviors that are essential to live in this kind of forest. These cultural values unite more than 27 indigenous groups with the sacred natural sites, with its trees, with the jungle, with its landscape. The traditional indigenous knowledge in the management of Amazonas ecosystem is very useful and valuable to understand the landscape. It is an instrument of biodiversity management. It promotes the balance between knowledge, use, and protection. This traditional knowledge directs and concretes the spatial and multidimensional relationships with the landscape, which converge in use, practice, and perception around the forest and water places. The different perception and belief systems have ethical principles related to conservation of trees, groves, forests, jungles, rivers, lakes, and salt lakes. The relation of Amazonian indigenous people with their territory and forest is different from the Western scientific knowledge, but equal valued. It's a sacred concept of the forest and water that integrates and connects the nature with the human soul.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es José Gregorio Vázquez de la etnia Ticuna. En este momento voy a hablar un poco sobre el tema de territorialidad y del bosque. El sistema territorial indígena Ticuna se ha creado juntos con los dioses. Se crearon con el fin de ordenar el bosque para dar cavidad al humano, a los animales, a las plantas, a todo lo que en ella se mueve. Fue una creación pactado entre los dioses para poder vivir en este mundo, ¿sí? Por esta razón es que el bosque en sí, el suelo, animales, insectos, todo eso están incluidos, están inmersos, están conectados. Se crearon con el fin de poder vivir, subsistir en ella, porque en ella está todo, todo está ahí. La vida de nosotros, la vida de la naturaleza, todo lo que poseemos, ¿sí? De hecho, está dividido en tres partes: el mundo de abajo, el mundo del medio y el mundo de arriba.
Mi territorio para mí tiene mucho significado. Mi territorio es mi sangre, mi territorio es con lo que yo respiro, con lo que yo vivo, y eso es todo para mí. El territorio para mí tiene mucho significado. Mi territorio tiene mucho valor, porque yo consisto mucho de ella. No solo yo, sino toda la comunidad y toda la familia que vive aquí.
Thanks so much for Gloria Aponte for putting together that film. Again, like the ones yesterday, that's just so incredibly important. I really thank her for that. Now, what we'd like to do is we'll receive the Ifla regional president's reports, and for the first report, I'd like to introduce Kerry Duncan, our fabulous Ifla Africa president. Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks very much, James. Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, I guess, to everybody from wherever you might be watching. It's a great honor and privilege to be presenting to you our report back from Ifla Africa at this World Council 2021. Now, the report is based on our Ifla Plan Africa objectives, which can be outlined in 3 major points. The first being to improve communication, to continue work on landscape architecture education, and to ensure that climate change and sustainable development principles permeate through all our activities. So in order to do that, I'm going to focus on 2 of our main projects. I invite you to read the full report in the documents that you received to catch up on some other things we've been working on. But the first project is the African Landscape Network, and then the African Journal of Landscape Architecture. And in the end, I will also make you aware of the Ifla Africa Exco election results. So the African Landscape Network, or the ALN as we call it, it's a platform for collaboration to further the aims and objectives set out in the African Landscape Convention, which, if you remember, was presented to you in Oslo in 2018-19. And so ALN, it really is a bottom-up project, and it will create a matrix of professionals, individuals, firms, and organizations, whether they be landscape architects, engineers, geographers, conservationists, planners, urban designers, or ecologists. The UNESCO Participation Program awarded us a grant of $14,000 for this project, which was supported by the South African, Mozambican, and Kenyan UNESCO offices. So we're very pleased with that. The core team is run by four people, all South African, with me in the South African Moroccan. And we also have an advisory panel, which is quite well distributed throughout the continent. The yellow dots are show the ICOMOS representatives. The red ones are the Ifla representatives. And then there are 2 representatives from the ICOMOS Ifla International Scientific Committee for Cultural Landscapes. So, and we're very happy to partner with ICOMOS on this project. So there are 8 members from ICOMOS, 2 members from the combined ICOMOS Ifla committee, and 6 members from Ifla Africa. The objective, as you can see it in the top bubble, is the outcome will be an online map-based database, which we will try work together with ICOMOS and Ifla Africa. So on the database, it will be a database of professionals on the one hand, which will be represented by points on the map, or projects or issues represented as polygons, which those of you involved in geographic information systems, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Then through the project will also help ICOMOS further its objectives of protecting the African cultural landscape, and of Ifla Africa in promoting the adoption of the African Landscape Convention, and facilitate a platform for collaboration, thus creating awareness, access to information, and transparency. So these were all in line with our objectives for the 2-year period. And the outcome will be a collaborative effort to support sustainable development goals in Africa. So what will this actually look like? So these are some in test phase. I was hoping to be able to present it to you live, but I was scared of technology. So this is an example of the online interactive map of people who are represented by yellow dots across the continent. So when you hover over those dots, you will have photographs that pop up. And then again, by clicking on those photos, you'll be able to see the names, the CVs, and more information about the people. And then on the other hand, there will be projects which are represented here in dark orange dots, which then also have thumbnail images. And as you go zoom in even further, the orange dots morph into the project outline. And then you will see larger photographs and a text block on the left-hand side, which gives you a whole lot more information. So how do you get to the map? Well, this is where the kind of bottoms up approach is really visible. It's as simple as filling in the equivalent of a Google form, except it's a form survey set up under using Esri software. And so you'll fill out this form, which takes you from page to page with your personal geography, your nationality, the places where you practice, your personal information in the form of a CV that you can upload. And you can also put links to your professional profiles on LinkedIn and other professional websites. It gives indication of education and profession and the sectors of work that you undertake. And then on the project side, in a very similar way, filling out a questionnaire, there will be an overview with photos. You can upload up to 6 photographs. You will outline the category of landscapes that your project is concerned with, the scale, the project team who worked on it, the details of the project, which African Landscape Convention criteria your project kind of takes on board. And also, as you can see in the screenshot here, the response to the Sustainable Development Goals, or for projects which were established before the SDGs even existed, the spirit in which the project replies to the objectives expressed in the SDGs. So the second project I want to introduce you to, which some of you may have seen from the WhatsApp group, is the African Journal of Landscape Architecture, which was launched in April this year. So please take a moment, take a screenshot or jot down with a pen and paper www.ajlajournal.org. www.ajlajournal.org. Please remember it and go and visit the website. The next issue will be coming out in October this year. The second issue is on healthy landscapes. The first issue having been on iconic landscapes. So I invite you to click on the website and read some of the articles. It's not a double peer-reviewed journal, but we aiming for good quality, and we have an excellent editorial team who tries to keep us up to the bar in terms of quality. There's still a few days left to submit an abstract for issue number 2. Closing date is the 20th of August, and then full papers due on the 20th of September. And again, you can see the website address, ajlajournal.org. So there's an opportunity on this website to pay for a listing in the directory. We need 10 subscriptions in the directory. We'll pay the web hosting for 1 year. Or if you would like to become a patron for 400 euros a year, that will also enable us to pay the web hosting. And for this first year, I'd really like to thank James Hayter and Ifla World for having funded our first year on-site visibility. So please go to the website. Here's the address at the bottom. Click on directory, get out your credit card, and take out a directory listing or become a patron. Thanks very much. Okay, and so this coincides, the second issue, which is due out in October, coincides very, very nicely with the theme of our 7th Ifla Africa Symposium, which will be held entirely online. It's being organized by ELASA, which is the South African Association for Landscape Architects, and the Urban Design Association of South Africa, or Institute of South Africa. So it's going to be a pluridisciplinary event with the theme Health and Vitality, Creating Appropriate Cities in Africa. And there will be a very African focus. So if you've been watching Ifla news channels, you should very shortly be receiving a link with which you can register for that event. And I invite you all to attend. I can't not include in my report something about the Ifla Africa newsletter, which I'd like to thank personally Kabal Kalto for working so hard on this. And again, that's available through on the Ifla World website or on the journal website. There's a tab, Ifla Africa, where you can subscribe to the newsletter. Okay, so this is the first time that Ifla Africa had formal elections, which were carried out earlier this year. And I'd like to congratulate the incoming president, Graham Young, who takes over just after our symposium in October, and thank him as well for stepping up and presenting himself for election. Karbal, who's been dealing with the newsletter up till now, takes the place of the Secretary General. We're happy to have Ikram Saidan from Tunisia as the new treasurer. And then 3 brand new faces, Hoabamang Letugili from Botswana, who takes over the education portfolio, Franklin Karimi and Brenda Kamande, both from Kenya, who take over the external relations and the PPP regional chairs, respectively. And so with that, and with a little bit of emotion, I have to say this will be my last Ifla World Council as president of Ifla Africa. And so I'd like to thank, first of all, my executive committee for all their hard work and support over the last 4 years. To thank the national associations, because in fact, you are Ifla Africa, talking about bottom up. So thank you for your support and encouragement over the past 4 years. And thank you, of course, to James Hayter and the whole Ifla World Executive Committee for your superb support and encouragement and help. So I guess all that remains for me to do is to say goodbye and thank you.
Well done, Kerry. Thanks so much. Look, in my time of involvement in Ifla, Ifla has really tried to focus on Africa, but I think it's only under Kerry's leadership as president that suddenly what's emerged is this incredibly strong region with participation from nearly every association in Africa. And I think that's testament to Kerry's just fantastic organisational work, and now we think of Africa as one of this little sort of powerhouse region within Ifla, and thanks so much for that, Kerry. Oh, I feel emotional too. Well done. Thanks. So for the second regional president's report, I'd like to introduce another dynamo in Ricardo, and I'd invite him to give his report, please.
Thank you, James. Yes. Good morning, buenos dias, bon dia, bonjour. And we need to add the indigenous culture with their language. So, Meri Meri Chumleyam in Mapuche people in my country and Argentina. So, good morning from Chile, South America, in the Americas region. I am Ricardo Riveros, president of the Ifla Americas region, and next I will share with you the 2020 Ifla Americas Region Management Report. I would like to say that I chair this task with a great team of colleagues and friends. The Ifla Americas Exco, Raquel Peñalosa from Canada, Luciana Cheng from Brazil, Ana Artesi from Argentina, Rafael Dodera and Leonardo Moreira from Uruguay, Pedro Camarena from Mexico, Jesus Belmonte from Chile and Venezuela, and Carlos Yankelevich from Costa Rica. My thanks to you. Just like a butterfly, which before reaching its full state goes through a series of process of change, transformation, and metamorphosis that over time will allow us to fully see the butterfly as we know it in our landscape. Ifla Americas has come a long way thanks to previous efforts, which has led us to develop agreed and viable goals of great ambition. This from the diversity and identity of the Americas. More than just developing objective, we have developed a way of doing things in consensus with most of the professional association of the Americas. However, we are not satisfied and hope to extend the participation of the professional association even further into the year we have left as Exco Ifla Americas. As I said before, these 3 years have been useful, among many other things, to define the identity of Ifla Americas, its mystic and its vision proposed in the Charter of the Landscape of the Americas, and its working committee led by Raquel Peñalosa, as well as its mission defined in the action plan. 2 years will seem like a long time to agreed objective. However, it is not if from this objective we can develop programs and projects that make sense for the Americas region. Two years that allow us to face this 3rd year, 2021, in a decisive way, with a specific and organized projects and programs, which are prepared to seek financing, and others who are self-sustaining. Added to this is an extensive and consolidated list of annual activities for the region. This is carried out in parallel with the traditional activities of Ifla Americas, which have presented a great challenge because of the pandemic. The Regional Conference and Regional Council 2020 and 2021 in online mode. 2020 from Guatemala with 4 days of regional conference, 24 hours of free access in Ifla America's YouTube channel, more than 4,000 visualization, section in Spanish, English, and Portuguese, 32 speakers from 12 countries. No doubt that was an incredible, amazing effort from the young association in Guatemala. And the Regional Conference 2021 will be the Conference of the Americas, organized by the Exco Ifla Americas. Establish an annual activity in the region, the celebration of April World Landscape Architecture Month, a meeting in online modality. This activity will be the 2nd time for join the Americas in a virtual meeting. Added to the above is the establishment of 2 regional thematic meetings, education and academic effort, and professional practice and policy, where educational professional practice will be discussed at the regional level. This activity will begin in 2021 online and will rotate through host country from year to year. The above in addition to the formation of the Regional Governance Commission, very useful for the purpose of the Ifla and Ifla Americas. This has allowed us to build trust with our members in Ifla Americas and even overcome this border toward new alliance with other organizations such as the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, LALI, the Latin American Initiative Landscape, led by Marta Fajardo and Lucas Perillas, the Landum Magazine, Fondo Verde Spain, and Paisajeo. In addition, we must celebrate the incorporation of our principal regional corporate partner, the first in a long time for Ifla Americas. We are actively continuing in discussion to establish our IFLA regional office in the US, which has been helped by the full incorporation of ASLA into IFLA. Thank you very much for the time, for Kurt Millay especially, and Mark Foch and Tori Carter. The work with CSLA has definitely taken a step further and continue to do so every year. Many thanks to our friend in Canada, Colleen, Claude Potoin, Michelle Legault, Hope Perham, and especially Vincent Astley. In addition, and as a first for you, because this project will be announced in detail at our regional council on September 25, I am pleased to present to you our portfolio of IFLA America's program, projects, and activities. This document, which will be available to all IFLA America members, brings together in an orderly manner the key benefit that we propose for our members. These benefits, which take the form of project, program, and activities, are described according to the committee to which they belong, making it easier for members to read and access. Without a doubt, it is something that makes us very happy and with a lot of work for 2022. Thanks, and the following is to introduce all of you to Mike Berthmel, APR Honorary Secretary on behalf of Mr. Takano from the IFLA Asia Pacific region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. That's fantastic in that. And like you, we welcome the ASLA into IFLA. It's terrific. It's really good. So if I could just reiterate your introduction to Mike, Ricardo. So Mike is standing in for Takano-san, who unfortunately is not well. So Mike has offered to step in and report for Takano-san at this meeting. Mike, if I could hand the floor over to you.
Great, thanks, James. So, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So, greetings from Aotearoa, New Zealand. My name is Mike Barthelme, as James said, and I'm presenting this report on behalf of Takano-san, who sends his apologies for not being able to be here today because he has been unwell. He also sends his best wishes to all of the colleagues who are attending today's meeting. So I've included a few images from places within our region, so you've got something to look at if you get bored listening to me. I've got 7 items to report on, and please excuse me if I start to yawn because it's 1 AM on Wednesday for me, so I've done well to stay awake so far, I think. So the first item to report on is about connecting with landscape architects in our region. We have introduced the Tomodachi project. So Tomodachi is Japanese for friend, and it's one of the initiatives that Takano-san put into action in the first part of his term. He's been able to make contact with 9 members, or rather 9 landscape architect associations within our region who are not currently members of Ifla. And we were pleased to see 6 of them attending as observers at our AGM, which was held last week. We have 2 of them, Bangladesh and Mongolia, are both quite advanced in developing their own constitutions. And so we look forward to getting applications from them in due course to become full members of Ifla. So this, the Tomodachi project that shows, this is our Ifla APR geographic area. These are the locations of our current associations within our region. And these are the potential associations we're working with to become members of Ifla. So we're hoping to really grow the numbers so that we have a much better representation across the region, but the opportunity for Ifla to also work with people in these locations to improve the profession and the contribution the profession can make to each of those areas. Another part of Takano-san's work was to really push the internship program. The idea was to have young landscape architects working with companies and organizations and offices in other areas within our region. There was a lot of interest, but as we all know, international travel has been a little bit difficult lately. And so this project is kind of on hold until we can start to move more easily internationally with our travel. The second thing is about our national awards, and they've grown grown again this year. They've been growing year on year, and it's given us an opportunity to bring greater prominence to our profession right across the region. It's become quite a prestigious award to gain within our region. And we really wanted to thank the panels and the judges for all of their amazing work in going through probably close to 400 nominations for these awards. So we're very pleased with the way that has been running. We've had a Luminary Award, which recognizes someone who has made a tremendous contribution to the objectives of Ifla and the profession of landscape architecture within our region. It honors the work of landscape and non-landscape people. And the nominations are all reviewed by a panel which comprises of the regional presidents. So we're currently reviewing the 2021 nomination in consultation with CHISLA, with the Chinese Association, and it was erroneously reported as being sorted. We thought it was, but we can now report that for a range of issues, no award will be made this year, but we look forward to nominations again next year. Takano-san was really busy during his time, as you can see, and he really liked the idea of setting up an advisory group so that he, members of EXCO and other people coming in to APR would have a group of people with a lot of experience to draw upon for particular issues or questions. So the idea is to provide advice to EXCO on request. We're pleased to note that Damien has been appointed as chair of this advisory group, and his role is to bring people together as and when necessary to provide appropriate advice as requested. We've also developed, and Council has approved, a President's Award. And I'm so sorry, it looks like the microphone went off. Hopefully you didn't lose too much. I'll just carry on from this point and assume that you've read the report anyway. So Takano-san wanted to recognize exceptional service and exceptional contributions to the Asia Pacific region. And so we're very pleased that Damien Tang has been made the inaugural recipient of this award. He's made some huge contributions and will continue to do so in the future. So we offer our congratulations to Damien for achieving this award. We've been working on our communications strategy. We've got a very successful monthly e-publication. It allows focuses on specific issues, and we're pleased to see that the readership has now grown to over 12,000 subscribers. So it's become a really key method of communication within our region. In terms of communication, we've also developed a community portal in association with our secretariat. It helps people to come together in discussion groups to look at particular issues, a range of issues. And the handle is #FindOurTribe. Now you'll notice there's no hashtag on the slide because I couldn't find the key on my computer. It's disappeared somewhere. So please put a hashtag in front of Find Your Tribe, and you'll also be able to access that from the APR website. So the conclusion of our AGM last week, it gave us a chance to say farewell to Takano-san for all his amazing work that he's done over the time that he's been here. We've benefited hugely from his enthusiasm and his ideas and wisdom over the last 2 years. And we send our best wishes to him in Hokkaido. He's now able to spend more time with his family and, of course, his beloved horses. As well as Takano-san retiring, we have others who have retired from chair positions and from exco positions. And so this is our new team. So a big welcome to Monica Guo, who is our new president, the new honorary secretary, Chris Tidswell from Australia. I'm really pleased you've taken the role on, Chris. It's time for me to stop doing that straight away after this. And our new chair for Landscape Architects Without Borders is Kiyohito Tamatsu from Japan. We have a range of officers who are continuing, of course. So Treasurer Kwang Yu is continuing as Treasurer. Ji Sheng is continuing as Chair of our Education Committee. Tak continuing with Professional Practice and Policy. And Damien, of course, as Chair of Finance and Business Planning. Bosco continuing as Chair of CER. And Bosco, if you're watching or if you watch this recording, I'm really sorry, but I couldn't find a photograph of you anywhere. So at the conclusion of this, please send me one in case I need to use it again. And finally, our Chair of Climate Change, Claire Martin, is also continuing in her role. So we want to congratulate the new people and thank them for their contributions that will be coming in the future, but also for those who are staying on with our committee. So that's the end of the report, but I couldn't resist in leaving you with another image. This is in New Zealand at the head of Lake Wakatipu, the Dart River. So once you can all travel again, we expect to see you over here, and I shall take you on a personal guided tour up the Dart River. Okay, so thank you very much, and good morning from Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Well done, Mike. Thanks.
Thank you. And I meant to introduce Europe. I'm very sorry, James, you did remind me.
Yeah,
so the next presenter will be from Europe. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate your energy and standing in, and we do wish Takano-san the best from the Ifla family. So, as you said, Mike, our next regional president's report is from Karen Helms, who is the president of Ifla Europe. So, Karen, I'll just hand over to you, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. And thanks up to now to all the very informative and important work you have been done all over the world. We wanted first to say thanks for this good wording and notion share, which is such an important notion time of global warming. Indeed, we need to share our modes of doing, how we do it, and look how with the social and historical and geographic aspect, how we can give more time back to nature, how we can share our world. Landscape architects for us are indeed the ones who can help in this situation we are in. We have the skills, we need just to show it. Okay. No, it doesn't work. We have been working on more topics this year. It is from a report from November 2020 to July 2021. And if I have to summarize the many tasks we have done, actually the most important for us is the recognition of our profession in a short term by EU, European Commission, but also at the level of the Council of Europe. We hope that the profession will be recognized so that landscape architects are in the field of those professions that we should raise and have more visibility for. Through this recognition, obviously in parallel, we need to have the profession who also is raised and more visible. For us, it's very important that it gets up to maybe a 5-year education, but we do understand that not all schools can reach this level, but let us help all our schools and give them advice. That is our role at the school recognition panel. The third topic we have been running with is to render it visible at all the policies who's running at the AU and COE level. And obviously we have worked internally on a new sponsorship guideline and on communication with others, institution and association within landscape architecture or landscape or planning and architecture. This is obviously done thanks to a fantastic EXCO team of 6 members and our executive secretary and financial administrator, but also thanks, and this is the occasion I have now to say thanks to the many national associations, all our delegates. We have 34 delegates, and most of them are engaged in one of our working groups. So we are so pleased and great for all this support and work you are doing. If I pick up some of the projects, this one is also linked to Share. Share Your Voice has been the new European Bauhaus title, how to raise and find new ideas on how we can design our future to be beautiful, sustainable, and together. We have been very active this spring on this topic through 2 ways, and it has been Ifla Europe is a partner of it. This means also Ifla, obviously, and taking and creating a conference and events internally and externally with the Joint Research Center for the European Commission. They have been very pleased to see that we look also about how to design the unseen, how to look for more sustainable projects, but also to look on a concept as the third landscape, who has been done from, written by Gilles Clément, for instance. How to consume less and be more in line with the context. We have been, wow. Oh, it's blocked. Oh. The other way we have been active at the new European Bauhaus is together with a group of association in architecture, art, engineering, and arts. This means we have been proactive in more ways. This type of event from the European Commission is for once something who is shared with all the profession, but also the locals, and they look for participatory events. This spring has been the harvesting period, and now in the fall we will be on the dissemination period, and before it is spread over not only Europe but also abroad, and we help and hope that all over the world we can come with good ideas on how we can work, live in a better condition on our world and through a landscape architecture ideas this can be one of the way of showing the visibility of our profession. We have been very active also with the communication working group. This year they have been active at the Greener City, which is a European Parliament initiative. As you maybe know, here in Europe, or you remember from Oslo 2019 Congress, at the Ifla World Congress, we were also celebrating the Oslo Green Capital. This type of initiative goes on, and we are pleased that Ifla Europe is also taking part in this type of events. Regarding communication, yes, we have launched our new web page last December 2020. We have a Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and even due to COVID period, we are pleased to see that we have an increased number of visitors on these networks. At the COE level, this means at the Council of Europe level, we have been very active, and this is maybe our most important events for the climate change contribution. Urban landscape and climate change, the contribution of the landscape to improve the quality of life. We were asked by Maguelone Desjans-Despons, in charge, the Executive Secretary of the European Landscape Convention, what can the landscape architect do to improve the quality of life? And we're so pleased that we have been able to take part in this Council of Europe conference and be heard. We have now, this is part of our action, how to increase the number of countries where the profession is recognized. Little it grows. Today we have 12 countries where the profession regulated. We hope that these countries and national association can help the others to increase the number of professionals recognized in their country. This can also only be done by sharing our mode of doing and helping each other. This is also one of the big tasks of Ifla Europe. Regarding education, we're so pleased that our colleague from Lithuania got a big EU grant to help us in giving instructions and mode of doing linked to the education, and one project called Inoland, and it's toward the common training framework for landscape. And we're pleased to know that ECLAS, Le Nôtre are those who are doing this work, and that Ifla is also part of it. We look very much for it. Our sponsorship policy could not be done without Ifla. So we have now looked at how to share this, increase the number of sponsors, but what is the most important, we find an agreement that this should be engaged with sponsors who are environmentally friendly. And this is obviously what's happening in most companies now. And I have to again thank our faithful past and ongoing sponsor. But it was a big work. So yes, indeed, we have the problem we have seen all over the world of global warming change. And we think that the working group on climate has a huge role at the Ifla Europe level and Ifla level, and hope that we can listen more to how we can give and come back to give more space to nature to stop the big catastrophe we saw all over the world this last year. And lastly is that we have finally launched a leaflet, a booklet on the agricultural landscape. It is their working group who's also in line with GIAS, the global in importance agriculture heritage system. And thanks to the working group for this huge work, and hope that this too can be shared with all of you. Lastly, share for us is also share the space, and pleased to see that more and more people create spaces for all, also for a disadvantaged group, for all of us, so that spaces can be shared in all our towns, suburbans, and rural areas. I have to thank you for listening me, and I want to say how important it has been to share the work on the definition of the profession. It is now also written in French and Spanish. It has helped us a lot in communicating with AU commissioners and the Council of Europe. They have seen that we are a profession who is growing. Thank you so much, and hope to meet you in October at the International Landscape Architect Congress that our Spanish delegates are organizing for us. Thank you.
Karen, thanks very much. That was a fantastic report, and it shows again the fantastic work that you're doing in Ifla Europe. Karen, I think it's some of your last duties too. Is that right?
Yes, it's the end of my mandate, 23rd of October. It has been a mandate mainly under COVID period. I met most of you in Oslo in 2019, but hope that I can meet you at other occasion. We'll stay on working groups at Ifla Europe. But indeed, we have elections in October. So thank you so much for these 2 years.
Yeah, and from Ifla, thank you so much, Karen, for your contribution, not only to Ifla Europe, but to the global profession through Ifla. And thank you so much. Congratulations. Well done. Yeah. We have one last regional president's report, and Jala Maksumi will present this on behalf of the Middle East. So welcome, Jala.
Greetings, everyone. It is an honor and pleasure to present some activities by Ifla Middle East to Ifla World Council here in Malaysia. We are a new chapter and quite small, 3 national associations: the Iranian Society of Landscape Professionals, Lebanese Landscape Association, and the Jordanian Association of Landscape Architects. As you can see, as you all can see on the news, it is a region wrought with political problems and economic ones, and it is really difficult times for us all. Still, members of Ifla Middle East, mainly Leila and Isla, are contributing to various activities, working groups, and committees at Ifla, which is really what I would like to share with you today. One of the interesting activities is the Tree of Life series of webinars that has been organized by Armin Pirad from ISLAP with Tehran University that looks to promote insights into sustainable development. It was a very successful series, very well attended. Another is the Oasis Landscape and Agriculture, OLA, which looks to contributions of landscape architecture, sustainable food production in areas that are extremely arid. And this is now an Ifla working group, and Armin Pirad is an active member there and participating as well. Jala, the Jordanian association, is finally up and running after a very, very long process, as you can see from the timeline, almost 2 years. But the first GA meeting was held, and I hope they will soon start joining us with their activities. Nadine Bitar from Leila is chair of the LINK working group and looks at information generation, dissemination, especially with online discussions for young professionals. Nadine was also in charge of organizing the Arab Towns Environment Center, a conference in Beirut on recovery from post-blast and cooperation with the World Green Economy. Zeina Jaja, another member of Leila, has worked as a representative of Ifla Middle East with emerging professional advocates. And there is an image in today's Ifla circular about their activities, and they have been very active. They overlap with Ifla Europe, Ifla Africa, and Ifla Americas. They're trying to really work with those associations, and they offer webinars, social media brainstorming, cooperation. They work with ASLA again, student volunteers for conferences, cooperation on climate change, and a large number of activities. Farima Jamali from ISLAP has really been the contact person in Ifla Middle East for climate change, and she has been following very closely with surveys to all members, but also with a conference that she participated in April 2021, as you can see, and also a study in Tehran on climate change due to the reduction in green areas with the expansion of the urban footprint. Finally, Armin, Executive Director for ISLAP, and myself are working on the Encyclopedia of Traditional Agricultural Landscapes of the Middle East. This is very much a Ifla Middle East chapter event that focuses on various agricultural practices as landscape. So they are both productive landscapes and they have heritage values. Water efficiency, as you can see in the images, there's an extremely diverse system of water management that is ancient. And we hope that ultimately to start bringing in feedback and creating a digital database that can benefit professionals, landscape professionals throughout. Thank you.
Thanks, Jala. I think you demonstrate once again that although the Middle East is a small region in Ifla, it's an incredibly important region, and just some of your slides just demonstrate some of the themes that we've been talking about so far at this World Council. So thanks so much for your report. We're pretty well on time in the meeting. What we have next in our agenda is a 10-minute break. So let's have a break. And I know Mike's going straight for the coffee machine, not bed. So we'll see him back in a minute. But if we take a 10-minute break, I can't tell you what time it is. For me, it'll be 11 o'clock in the evening. I'll see you back here. But if you can make it 10 minutes, then we'll come back. And then the last session of the World Council meeting, we'll be hearing from associations on some of the challenges facing the landscape architecture profession. And then we'll be following that by, I hope, participation from delegates and some discussion. So thanks very much to all the regional presidents for their report. I'll see you back here in 10 minutes.